This is a short one like me. Dudes with Brews on the Porch presents Michael Brews.
Dude. Craft Brews and Casual Conversations. It's a microbrew edition of the program. Joined with us are some other fellow pod pals, as I like to call them. You guys are in Maryland, correct?
Yes, sir.
We are joined by Aaron and Garret from the Familiar Foes podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you guys on here. You guys, we're going to get into your show and how that all works in just a little bit. But first, we do have some beers as, I guess, par for the course for this program.
As the name of the program suggests.
Right. I couldn't find any Maryland beers. I don't know that we've ever had a Maryland beer yet. I don't think so. And I've been pretty busy, unfortunately. So I had to go the easy route and get a nice Wisconsin beer from a place called Asylum. I doubt you can get it out there, but if you're ever in Wisconsin, in the Madison area, I suggest that you check them out. We're drinking a Hazy Hopalicious, it's called. It's a New England version of their flagship American Pale Ale that delivers a burst of Cascade hop flavor balanced with a juicy haze. 5.7 on the ABVs and NAs on the IBUs again, Rob.
Always on there's never any IBUs anymore.
IBUs are a thing of the past. Are you guys beer drinkers? Are you beer enthusiasts at all?
Oh yeah. We have our moments. We definitely have our moments.
What's something that you guys tend to reach for?
Well, typically, we have a buddy who works at a local brewery in Baltimore.
Nice.
The Heavy Seas Brewery in Baltimore. So we usually indulge in some Heavy Seas beer. I think that's what Garrett's drinking tonight. I got something a little different.
So I'm drinking the Tropicana, and they have a pineapple IPA with a 7.25 alcohol per volume. I'm more of a lighter beer drinker. So I like a little bit of a fruity, especially this time of year, especially in Maryland. It's super hot out here.
Right.
Super humid. So that's kind of my go-to in this time of year, like a lighter beer as opposed to some of those heavier things. That's what I'm drinking.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I got something local, so I'm closer to the DC area now. So I got something from Upper Marlboro, right outside the DC line, from the Calvert Brewing Company. It is Excellent Adventure IPA. It's a hazy IPA. Nice. There's not a whole lot of information on it. It's a brand new brewery, but beer's pretty good. Super dark, real thick. Again, it's something we usually stay away from in these months, but during the winter, drink a ton of it.
Yeah, we tend to, or at least not really but I tend to definitely always lean towards the hazy IPAs. It doesn't matter what time of the year it is. Rob, you kind of like the lighter stuff, don't you?
I've been switching it up. I used to drink like stouts more and lagers, but now I don't really drink. So that's I only drink for this podcast.
Or in my backyard.
I got drunk in his backyard the other day.
He got drunk in the backyard and threw up in the front.
Yep,
twice.
4 times.
4 times?
Yeah, it was 4.
Jesus Christ.
Oh.
And he was drinking
we've got
White
some
Claws.
of those stories on our end.
And he was only having White Claws. He wasn't having anything intense.
No, I only had one White Claw, and I think that's what messed me up. Is that
the White Claw
in the middle of the other beers? Because it's weird. I don't know. Maybe.
So I usually try to not mix them.
Yeah, he knows what I'm talking about.
Not the beer with the seltzer. We can hammer some seltzers.
Yeah, we put them back. It's sad, but it's what we do these time of years, this age.
I thought it was the mixing of the seltzer and the beer that did it. I really do.
Maybe. I mixed I was like half and half
You're
seltzer, half beer.
I'm a rookie. You're a
I
veteran.
act like I'm an alcoholic, but I'm not. All right.
You're a freak of nature.
Something like that. We're from Wisconsin. That's kind of one of our hobbies.
It's really cold out there, Aaron. So they either drink. It's kind of like Frostburg. They either drink or they just freeze their butts off. Is what they do out there.
Something like that.
I've never been there. He's been to Wisconsin. I've never been to Wisconsin.
It's literally you take 8 months of cold and waiting for the warmth, and then you take 2 months acclimating to the warmth, and then you might finally get it, and then it gets cold again, and you got to acclimate. You're all year you're just acclimating to new weather.
That's how where we went to college together. That's how it was.
Yeah, up in the mountains of Maryland, it gets probably October. By October 15th, it's snowing. Snows until probably about March. Even longer. Sometimes we get some blizzards in there, and then it gets super hot. So it's like
right. Yeah, one extreme to another. But let's talk your podcast a little bit. So, Familiar Foes podcast. It's an interesting concept. You guys you define yourself as polar opposites. You're best friends, but you have a lot of opposing views. What was it like? So you guys, it sounded like you met in college. Is what happened?
Yeah. So it's one of those things. We don't even recall how we became friends. So we were both Frostburg State track athletes. He was the thrower. I was the sprinter. His roommate, our freshman year, I used to train with him. Started hanging around the dorm room, and the next thing I know, we're best friends. We're roommates for a couple of years, and we've been best friends ever since.
Were you opposites back then, or did you become opposites as you grew older?
I think we've always been opposites, and it's what made me start the idea of the podcast. So we come from different backgrounds. He grew up outside of Baltimore City in that area. I grew up in kind of like the rural areas of Maryland. So that's what kind of had me start the podcast. Is I look at all the different things, especially nowadays, all the political things that every couple of weeks it gets even worse and worse. I'm like, I look at the relationships I have and the people I've always been very close with, have a very, good relationship with. We don't allow that politics to happen in there. I'm like, Aaron, you and I have these conversations, yet we've been best friends since college, since we're almost 10 years out of college. So it's having that relationship, and that's what made have the idea for the podcast.
Yeah, we get in kind of these, I wouldn't even call them arguments, but intense discussions pretty frequently. And, it always just ended back to where we're best friends again. And we don't understand why other people can't have that same kind of relationship or conversation, because I think we both think it's really important that these conversations are had, whether it's about politics or it's about the weather or sports or whatever, what have you. But it's important for us to have these conversations and still be able to come back to the table as friends and keep those relationships.
And like you were saying with just like especially all the stuff going on in 2020, there's just, you go on social media, you go on Facebook, you turn on the news, you get, one bit of information on this side, one bit of information on the other side, one of you takes this side and one of you takes that side. And having these conversations is important. How do you do it without being without getting heated and without being go fuck yourself or something like that? Because you always say
doing that. You keep it above the belt.
You fucking they say you're snowflakes and shit like
that.
Say
that. Oh no, we'll still call each other names.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So when I talk to him, I call him the communist. Like you're a straight up communist. You think everything should be free, and it's like one of those things. And that's why we started the podcast again. Is we drilled down into why is it? Is it because of where we raised? Is it because of what we're industry? Because I'm in business. I'm in sales. I've been in sales since I walked out of college. He's a local school teacher, so is that thrown in there? I think we have a lot of difference in that aspect, but sports is probably something he and I always talk about and argue about, and I think healthy rivalries in that.
Okay. So not only in your podcast breaks it down to like each week you have a different topic. You guys are talking about it. You're doing various rounds, various points of what you want to talk about. And I really like how organized and concise everything is on your podcast. It's very different than ours because we a lot of times don't even know what we're going to talk about. Sometimes we do. So it was nice to hear that. And also the way you guys just talk to each other, your friends, everyone kind of busts each other's balls and everything now and then, but you can do it, and like you said, and hug afterwards, which is very important in these modern times. So I guess when it comes, so what's the biggest debate outside of politics that you guys have, like sports related? Is it between LeBron and MJ? Who's the GOAT?
One of the most heated debates we probably got into that was totally not related to politics was probably sports movies.
Okay.
Of all things, we couldn't agree because I think he thinks some things are like Disneyfied and or it's not true to reality and how things really happen,
as opposed to actual truth.
Right. Garret kind of he likes things to be as accurate as possible. I'm like, dude, they're movies. You know what I mean? We got into it on that one a little bit. We knew if we did a podcast where we weren't that organized, we would ramble on for hours.
Right.
Sometimes preparing for a podcast, we just ramble on for hours just talking about those topics.
I want to say the last podcast we were putting together, I talked to him the night before, and literally 2 hours later, dude, we need to focus on what we're actually talking about the podcast, do all these tangents and whatever.
Yeah, we find ourselves down that that road a lot too. Where
I prefer those episodes because then we actually there's other episodes where we literally just are like, so what's up? I slept today.
Yeah.
It's striking a balance, right? It's not rambling on too much or getting too bored, but at the same time, you don't want it to feel scripted either.
Yeah.
You want to have a natural feel. So we'll kind of, when we're organizing it, we'll say, all right, we're talking about this topic, and these are some points maybe I want to remember, because once you get into talking, you don't always remember exactly.
Yeah.
You just kind of roll. So it's like, all right, I want to make sure we touch on this or touch on that, and then we just kind of let it happen organically.
Are there topics that you guys won't talk about? Is there a way that you won't say things? Because and Rob kind of gives me a little bit of flack for this from time to time. I try to keep it as unpolarizing as possible, unless you listen to our unpopular opinion episode.
Well, yeah.
Well, we can get to that in a little bit. But how do you guys face your content without? Do you think about the criticism you're going to get, or do you guys try to structure it in a way that it presents your points of views and your guys' ability to get along, and not really worry about what other people are going to think from it? Or kind of, how do you do that?
Yeah, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me, so to speak.
Right.
I am a school teacher, but I am more than willing to criticize what's going on in, say, education or something like that. But, I am careful not to point out specifics, obviously, about school or district or, and so I try to keep it a little broader than that. Other than that, I don't think there's really a topic we shy away from.
Okay.
Yeah, and kind of similar nature, being in my industry where you got to have those conversations with everybody. You learn to find those middle grounds with just about everything. You're like, all right, take a step back. We talk about this. What's the fallout? All right, not a whole lot. All right, we move forward. Otherwise, there's certain topics you just don't talk about. And that, you pick up on that. So that's what we've kind of tried to pull through.
For sure. What are you guys Star Wars fans?
I love Star Wars.
Right. A little bit, yes.
And I saw you guys talk about Boy Meets World a while back.
Oh my gosh! Don't even get him started on Boy Meets World.
Favorite show of all time.
Well, you know what Rachel's doing these days, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yes.
I didn't know either until I stumbled on Twitter because I was watching Boy Meets World, and I was just like, I wonder what these I was just kind of following up on what current projects or other projects they've done past Boy Meets World. And I'm like, oh, Maitland Ward. Oh wow, she was in
some projects.
Yeah, she's done some projects.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, the first thing I thought is I'm glad that you guys are coming on because maybe you can give me some advice personally, because me and Drew are pretty in sync on the major issues, but he's convinced that Han shot first, and I'm having a hard time getting past that in our friendship.
And
I don't know what to do about it.
That's where you have to have a constructive conversation, hear each other out, right, and then come together and agree to disagree.
Is that what? So these conversations that you two have, is that kind of how you guys sum it up? A lot of times, agree to disagree, or have you guys ever done or gained a new perspective, or maybe changed a view?
Yeah, we've definitely had those moments. Well, it's funny. So when we talk, so I'm big into, firearms. I was big into military history growing up. It's something I grew around. Aaron, on the other hand, not something he's big into.
Right.
So we actually did a podcast. We were talking about, gun control and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things I brought to him, we talked about, having a national carry permit, having consistent training. It's something like, you know what? I've never thought of it that way. That kind of makes some sense. And then, with the racial tensions in the yard, he's, growing up where he grew up, he brought some ideas to concepts. Like, dude, you got to look at this perspective. So that happens on often. That's why I think he and I have been friends for so long is you got to have that person in your circle that, can kind of give you a different point of view that you never thought of from your current surroundings.
Yeah, if you're not challenged, it gets stagnant.
A little bit. And right now we have such tribalism, in the country where people just stick in their own circles all the time, and they only hear from, certain types of media or certain types of people, and anyone else is just wrong.
Right.
I mean, it's not the case.
Do you guys research before you do the podcast, or are you going based on just topics that you know stuff about and working in the knowledge that you have?
A little bit of both, to be honest with you. You know, it depends on the topic. And it's funny, sometimes we'll have a list of topics that, hey, these are what we want to talk about. Sometimes it's, we're sitting, we're doing a normal routine, like, we should talk about this, we should talk about that. It just kind of depends.
Yeah, I heard you throw some stats out in the legalizing weed or the marijuana discussion. I feel like, and that was like, I was like, I wonder if that's something that you guys just knew, or because I don't know numbers, like I'm really bad at remembering that kind of stuff.
I'm right there with you. It's definitely something that, we put the research in, because again, we want to make sure that, there's some factual to what we're talking about. Because it's been an interesting thing. You back 10 years ago, I'm thinking there's no way in heaven that's ever going to happen. As we move forward 10 years later, it's like, you know what, there's some legitimacy to this. There's some, economic aspect. There's some, goodwill to it. That something needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
And we're also competitive people, right? So if we're going to get into an argument, we want to beat each other and argue. Although, we're not each other, we want to hear each other's sides and so forth, but we want to put forth the best that we got. So if I know he's on one end of the issue and I'm on the other, I'm going to research some statistics to throw out at him, to see if I can change his mind.
Yeah.
And just and that's kind of where we're at. We're doing this quarantine 15 challenge right now, where we're trying to lose some weight because we both packed on some pounds since quarantine started, in March.
Yeah.
And so, but what drives both of us is we want to beat each other.
So is the first one to lose 15, or the person that loses most?
So we've run it for 30 days. Is the person who can lose the most weight, and it's something we've kind of picked up on. Is it's that inherent. We gotta win. We gotta beat each other out. So like with everything going on, we've been playing some Madden. He sucks at Madden. Call of Duty, he's horrible at Call of Duty.
Terrible.
And then I just whooped his ass in the NBA a couple weeks ago. He won't play with me again. So it's like it's very competitive. No matter what it is, we got to beat.
I went on vacation. All right. I went on vacation. I'll play you again. All right. Although I did rage quit.
NBA is one of the games that my neighbors think I have Tourette's. I can't play it anymore. Like, I think we froze.
No, we're good.
All right, cool. Yeah, like I get so upset when I play that game. I had to undownload it.
Yeah, well, it was one of those games where it's like the first game we played against each other was very close, back and forth, and I had to pull out the win. And then we played one more game. It's like, I think I got the great team. I was on 25-0 before we scored. Like, he's like, dude, screw this. I'm done with him. I'm going to bed. I'm out.
Bullshit, man. I couldn't hit a shot. Hey, Kawhi Leonard couldn't hit a shot. I was so pissed.
Me and Rob, I feel like we talk about you guys are trying to lose the weight, but me and Rob talk about body stuff frequently, and it's more because he's incredibly skinny, and
I can't gain weight.
He can't gain weight, and I can't lose weight. I think I'm at like 213 right now.
But I wish I was a bigger guy, and he wishes he was a smaller guy.
Well, the biggest
that's how we were.
That's how we were all through college. I was a sprinter, could never put any weight on. My new job that I've taken in the last 2 years, sitting behind a wheel, traveling the area that we are, I've probably put on 20, 30 pounds. And then you throw in this where we're sitting behind a desk working from a computer, it's made it even worse. Right. So I think I'm about 234 now. Aaron, how much you pulling in now?
245, something
yeah.
like that. You guys
I'm also big, pretty tall too, so it balances out.
Yeah.
You guys ever like bicker back and forth about it, or?
Yeah, it's more because he thinks I have him like dysmorphic or something like that. But the most I ever weighed was 267.
I think the number is just a number, and you should go based on like this guy can run 5 miles, probably more in one. Just go run it. I can't run 2 blocks. So what does it matter what the number is? Like if you can.
But people are going to see.
Shape.
People are seeing a fucking chubby guy walking down the street, and they're like, "Oh, poor guy. He ate a lot of cheeseburgers, and now he's trying to shed it." And they see you, and they're not going to track how far you go. They just look at you.
Yeah, I do eat a lot of cheeseburgers, and you don't. So it's just, that's their misperception.
You probably guys walk a block and they're like, "Oh man, that guy must get out a lot. He probably exercises all the time."
Right? You guys have the almighty Culvers in your area. Plus, you got cheese curds, and then you're in the cheese capital of the world. I mean, like I tell you the one thing. So my girlfriend's family's from the Cedar, so it's about an hour and a half north. I think it's north of Madison.
Okay.
So she's wrote me into cheese curds. I'm like, what is this? The dumbest thing ever. I love those things. She taught me into the Culver's. It was funny. I went to a Packers game last year.
Nice.
And I told my brother, I'm like, dude, we got to go to Culver's. We're getting a family size of cheese curds. Like, that's the dumbest thing to do. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to him, dude, we gotta go back there. I'm like, I know.
We I mean, so like,
I can't believe that people don't know about cheese. Like, I that's crazy to me.
that's
that anybody
just a
would,
Wisconsin thing, cheese curds.
Yeah. Like,
It's
or just a Midwest thing or whatever.
And the thing too is you have to eat them fresh. I never knew that was a thing, and they had to grow them. That squeaky, like that's the weirdest thing.
Yeah,
I don't
squeaky.
like it, and it's so grown on me.
It's
delicious.
delicious.
Me and him. Well, not as of recently, but we both work at with cheese factory, different cheese places. Like that's the whole industry around here. There's a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. I currently work in the cheese industry, but
yeah, we call it the industry here because they,
it's the backbone.
100%.
But yeah, Culver's 100% always. So, have you guys ever debated desserts? Ice cream or custard? I'm a custard guy myself.
I love custard.
I'm not a big dessert guy. That's my problem. Like I gotta be in the right feeling,
Really?
but I do like the custard. I prefer custard. Well, you know what we fight over is it swirl? Is it chocolate? Is it vanilla or chocolate and vanilla together?
Vanilla.
Dude, swirl.
I'm
Swirl
vanilla.
is the best of both worlds.
I like
No.
Do you guys have? Is
pure
A&W
vanilla?
just a Wisconsin like a
A&W. I think that's a global thing.
root
It
beer?
is a global
the
thing,
Root beer ice cream
but
is
They've
amazing.
kind of pulled back a lot. Like when we were kids, you could go to all the malls and have it. A&W definitely pulled back a lot.
Yeah.
I love their chili cheese fries, like the A&W fast food place. Oh my God, they're
So
all
good.
gone now. Like nowhere to be found here.
Yeah, we still got one in
Yeah,
town,
we've
and
got
it
one
thrives.
where they're on roller skates. Like they come out in
man.
roller skates and
No, they don't.
isn't that one?
No,
They did last year, man. I'm telling
you're
you.
full of it. I've never seen anyone on roller skates.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
All right, we're going to A&W soon. I
Sonic has
guess.
roller skates.
I feel like
guys
they're-
have Sonic?
maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, we had a Sonic for about 20 minutes, and then it just shut down.
But maybe I went somewhere else. Man, now you got in my head. I don't know anymore.
I don't know.
COVID. Blame it on COVID. That's
Yeah.
why they don't have roller skates. So
Can't go out anymore, so I haven't been there for a while. But I swear there was at least I swear last summer they were on roller skates.
I don't think so, but
All right. Let's say not.
You should ask them. You should call them and ask them. Did you guys ever use roller skates?
so you guys live remotely then? You guys don't really live by each other?
So he's probably about 40 minutes to an hour away from me.
Okay.
But it's fun because I live on north of Baltimore, but most of the stuff that I have to do for work is out of the DC area. He lives like 15 minutes from the border. So I'll make a case, hey, I'm going to be in your area. Like 2 weeks ago, I'm like, hey, I got like 3 hours to kill. I'm coming over to your house. All right, that's fine.
Nice.
So we'll catch up and hang out and stuff like that.
He definitely increased my Call of Duty profile a lot that day. For sure.
Have you noticed since starting the podcast and doing it, are you guys still having the debates in person, or are you kind of just saving it for the podcast content, and then afterwards you guys just sit in silence, or how does that work?
It's all.
I think it's amplified if not. Like, and it's funny because we'll like before the podcast, we just we call each other and talk, start rambling stuff off. Now I think we kind of position it as if we are recording the podcast. Like, hey, we should think about this. You should think about this. What about that? What about this? You're not looking at this view, but you're looking at that view.
It's almost like we have the conversations and we're like, hey man, that'd be a pretty good podcast topic,
Yeah, I think we kind of do that too from time to time. I mean, our real life stuff. Sometimes we talked about some real life stuff for a little bit on the podcast, and then I deleted it.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
And he was mad, but
You both are into comedy?
yeah, we're very into comedy.
Nice. You done some stand up and
We want to.
I've done some stand-up.
He's done it.
Yeah.
I haven't. We're working on it, but yeah, I mean,
one of those industries is really tough, know,
Yeah.
and especially like stand up. I mean, that's a real skill.
I was just doing it to get up and see if I could do it. It's not something I expected to go anywhere. It's pretty fun to do, but it is very nerve-wracking.
yeah, I bet.
Oh, absolutely.
I like doing the podcast better personally, because I'm not. He started the podcast. I just joined in after 50 episodes, so he laid all the groundwork and all. Like I just came in and started talking, and it was perfect.
We have
very little work.
some buddies. We have some buddies who want to jump in on the podcast, And
Oh my gosh.
We're trying to discern, like, well, we already laid the groundwork. Are they just trying to jump in, or do they want to create their own? Should we help them create their own, or what that dynamic is?
And it's like, where do they fit in the picture? Like, there's one we tried to bring in, and then we had to pivot. And it's like, there's not a whole lot of value you can necessarily bring depending on the topics that are coming up. But it's funny too, because we're about 3 or 4 episodes away from 20 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, when we started this podcast, it probably took us almost 9 hours. So it was a conversation we had 2 weeks prior. I'm like, yo, we should just do a podcast. Let's do it. He came over to my house Christmas Day. So, yo, we're doing this tomorrow. Went to Best Buy, got all the stuff. It took us 8 hours. Now it's to the point where we have buddies that we went to college with that reached out to us like, dude, it's good to hear you guys. It's good to hear, I'm enjoying the podcast. It's kind of nice to finally, we're getting a little bit of traction.
Yeah.
Nowhere near what you guys have, but we're getting a little bit of traction. So it's like, all right. So some people are actually listening.
We're nothing huge.
That was that's the thing. Like I was just a guest host.
Sorry, my dog keeps interrupting here. His name's Phil.
Oh, you're good.
Phil's a camera and mic hog.
Yeah.
But so I was just a guest host for a while, and then all of a sudden it was like people would bail out or whatever, and I had no life. So he'd just call me and be like, "Do you want to do the podcast?"
Hey,
in like
loser,
10 minutes?
you want to sit down?
And I'd be like, yeah, I'm in. And like so, I was doing like 75% of the episodes each month, and it just kind of became a regular thing. So I think I proved myself before I got the co-host spot.
Oh, it's just convenient.
If you find someone better, I'm out.
So the question I have for you guys, living in Wisconsin, so someone introduced me to Spotted Cow, and I think that's just amazing. Now, is that true in the local market, or is it, hey, it is what it is?
Every wedding that you go to has a half barrel of Bud Light and another specialty half barrel of Spotted Cow, and the Spotted Cow is always gone first.
I think Spotted Cow is head and shoulders above other micro brews around, like other local breweries around here. Like it's still considered. That's what I've seen.
I'll drink it if that's the only thing available. I've kind of have.
He's an artisan and he's kind of a diva too. So.
I've kind of gone away from Spotted Cow. But I will definitely drink it. I used to drink it like it was water, but now I just try different things that I've never had before, and there's so many different beers that it's uncommon for me to revisit something unless I'm in that situation where I'm at a restaurant or are you letting Phil out? Oh, thanks. Or I'm at a wedding or something, and that's all that's available. But yeah, I do enjoy it. New Glarus is a great brewery. They have a lot of good stuff, but yeah, Spotted Cow is that's what people think of, I think, when they think of Wisconsin. Cheese and Spotted Cow, and of course the Packers.
But isn't that what people do at weddings too? Like they'll drink the expensive stuff first, and then they'll end the night just pounding, the Bud Light or the cheaper beer.
Mm-hmm.
You have your sipping beer to start, right?
Yeah.
Get a little buzz going.
Sure.
And then you start pounding the cheaper beers. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it. And a lot of people, like I said, love Spotted Cow. We're gonna have. I'm getting married in January, unless the world.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Congratulations!
Second time, so hopefully it's better than the first. But we were talking. We're gonna have Spotted Cow because that's what a lot of people don't want to drink. Some bitter IPA that I love, and then we're ending up with a giant thing of where I have to drink the rest of the barrel and then I die. So we don't want that.
So in our neck of the woods, the go-to alternative beer is Yingling. Yingling was a big brewery up in PA. Okay. But it's funny you bring up the local beers. So a funny story when I was in college. So Aaron, growing up in Baltimore, Natty Bohemian's a big brewery. It was brewed in Baltimore as the go-to beer. So we were in college. I said, hey, here's my keys. Here's some cash. Go get some Natty. Thinking Natural Light.
Sure.
So I'm like, I'll get 2 cases. Well, he called me. He goes, hey, they don't have any 30s and Natties here, dude. I'm like, dude, I've been here for like 3 years. They definitely have them. But whatever. They have 24. Like, just get those. I go home, get my fridge, open up, and there's 24 packs of Natural Bohemian. I'm like, dude, only you guys from Baltimore would get that all mixed up.
What I said was they didn't have Natty Light. They didn't have Natty Bow Light. That's not something that's around all the time. I thought you meant Natty Bow. I should have known it was a college town.
Is that what we get when we get Natties?
Natty Light.
That's the same.
We get
brand.
natural light.
So Natty Light is what is natural light,
Yeah.
but only in Baltimore would somebody get those two mixed up and be like, oh, you need this.
Okay.
So
I'm not a beer drinker, so I know what I know people say natty, but I was like, okay, maybe that's the same thing. All right, now I got you.
Do they have Natter Days over there? That's like a thing now. Natter Days.
Yeah. It's not as popular now that seltzers came, Like
Right.
Natter Days came, and then the seltzers just blew it out of the water.
Yeah. See, in high school, I was a hams guy. Always hams.
Yeah.
Ham. Oh my gosh.
Land of the sky blue
So-
waters.
Hams is such a Midwestern thing. So my brother had mysteriously picked up a Hams hat when he was like traveling to Oklahoma,
Nice score.
and we went to the Super Bowl in Minnesota. And he was walking around the hat. Everyone was like, "Hams, that's the beer to drink." And I'm like,
That was my
Hams?
nickname
What
for
are
a
you
while,
talking about?
actually. It was hams.
Did you go to-
because it was so cheap. People
Yeah.
made fun of me for drinking it. It was only $8 for a case or something, or four. I know me and my buddy would split. It was $4, and we'd get change back, so $4 a piece.
There you go.
You went to the Super Bowl, like the actual game in Minnesota, or just
Yes.
That's
So
fucking
it was a
insane.
freak happenstance. My brother's best friend in a small D2 school in PA got a dream job at NFL Films. Came to us 3 years prior. She's like, "Hey, I can get tickets. Would you guys like to go?" And we're like, "Hell yeah!" Like, who
course.
would not want to go to Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Except for the fact it's Minnesota. So I'm used to cold weather. I'm about 6'5",
Yeah.
200 pounds. My brother's 3 inches taller than me. Has always been a big kid. He's pushing 300 pounds. Whatever. Whatever. So in my lifetime, I can count on my fingers how many times he's worn a jacket. In Minnesota, that was one of them because it was so cold. It was freezing. The skywalk only got us so far around the town, but it was a great experience. And it kind of top it all off. The other couple that took the other side of the tickets, the father was turning 60 years old. It was just, hey, let's go to a Super Bowl for your 60th birthday. A born and bred Eagles fan, and he was on that side of the stadium watching that Hail Mary pass fall. He could witness a first-time Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl, which is amazing.
That's crazy.
So it was crazy. Like, how everything lined up was crazy.
How many field goals did the Vikings miss?
They weren't in it.
Oh, I thought
It was just,
Minnesota.
it was.
I
in
don't watch
Minnesota.
I'm
It was
not a
in
football
Minnesota.
guy,
They
sorry,
almost
guys.
were in it. They weren't
They
far
were,
away.
they were a game away. I
just know that
told
they're
locals,
notorious for missing field goals.
Yeah, they are.
In big game
Oh, yeah.
situations. Wow, now I'm an idiot.
Only Minnesota could lose. Had Randy Moss, Aaron, help me. Who's the other receiver? Randall Cunningham is quarterback. They had the best offense in NFL history, and the kicker who never misses, and they couldn't go to the Super Bowl. It's crazy.
So the Super Bowl doesn't happen in the stadium.
They picked the stadium before the teams.
God, I
get
should
there.
know more about this stuff.
Years in advance. The only reason why they had that stadium
I suppose
is
it's big
because it
money
was a
maker.
brand new stadium and
It's
it was indoors.
It's a sweet
Is that
stadium.
so? That was after the ice broke the roof on the other one. Is that what happened?
Yeah, that did happen. Yeah,
All right.
at their old stadium. Yep.
See, this is how I just disrupt conversation by throwing.
Oh
in
no, you're
non-facts.
good. No, you're good. So have you guys been to a Packers game?
Oh yeah, I've been to a few Packer games.
Yeah, I've been to.
He proposed at a Packer game
I did.
to his
There you
fiance.
go.
To the current engagement.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wait, which game was it?
Against the Redskins, or now the
Okay.
Washington football team.
The Washington. I live right next to the stadium.
You could throw a rock from his apartment, and that's where the stadium is.
Oh, really? Yeah,
They're
that was
taking all the Redskins stuff down.
that was a good game because I was super drunk, and as was she. And then I asked her. She thought I was lying, and told everyone around that we were joking. I was like, I'm not. But
Did you vomit that day?
the next morning. But after the game, so the Packers barely won, which was I was like, how are they losing so bad, or almost losing to this team? But afterwards we went to a jewelry store, and I was still pretty drunk, and I just swiped the card, and she got her ring that she picked, and I was like, here we are.
There you go.
And now
I'm trying to get him to come with me. I'm telling you, I am a firm believer of going to one game. I went to the Packers-Lions game, Monday Night Football. I'm like, yo, we need to go to a Packers game. I'm taking my children to a Packers game because you're never going to get an NFL experience like that anywhere else.
Right.
We're in Baltimore. It's around the city. You literally fly into Green Bay. You're like is this really where NFL Stadium is?
Yeah.
And you're in the Middle West, right? The Middle West, people are super happy. They're super friendly. I had so many great conversations with random people. And the beer is like just flowing. And like it was the best experience ever.
Tailgating, it's a big party before. Like,
yeah,
it's a noon game. You're parked at 7 a.m. You're cracking beers. You're making brats. It's a magical experience at Lambeau. I definitely recommend.
So when you proposed, was it super cold or
it was freezing?
Was it earlier?
It was in December.
Did you know at the beginning of the day you were going to propose, or?
I knew it was.
He doesn't want this on. He doesn't want to record this.
I had been thinking about it for a while, and I figured, why not do it then?
Best place ever to do it.
Right, magic place. And then 2 weeks later, we were there again, but this time much, much more sober because my daughter was along, as was my future father-in-law, and we loved it. That was against the Bears, so.
The Bears.
Yeah, the Bears. That's for sure, guys. Well, we really appreciate you guys coming on the program. Let's let the people know where they can find you on social media, where can they listen to your podcast.
Sure. So we're on Spotify, iTunes, Familiar Foes Podcast. You can hit us up on Twitter at Familiar Foes. We also each have our own Twitter handle at A Familiar Foes and at G Familiar Foes.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you guys coming on the show. So what we do at the end, we review the beers a little bit, and we let the people know if we drank it or if we're going to dump it. Very rarely do we dump it. It has happened.
I've dumped a couple.
Ale Asylum, though, is always good. So if you're ever in Green Bay, Madison it's a little bit of a hike, a little bit of a drive, but I definitely recommend you go there because they have great breweries. But the Hazy Hopalicious is easy flowing. It goes down smooth.
I was done in 15, 20 minutes. So.
Yeah, it's not
Drink
too.
it for sure.
Is that it's a microbrewery, but I mean, is it pretty large for the area? Or
it's a big place. But yeah, they distribute, I think, just in the state of Wisconsin. Most of the breweries in Wisconsin are strictly Wisconsin based. But yeah, it's pretty popular in the Madison area. Carbon 4 is the location is smaller, but I think they might be a little more popular than Ale Asylum. But I mean, there's a lot of good breweries in Madison. You can go to 5 or 6 in one day. It's all in the same area, so it's
Madison's got a good atmosphere to it.
Yeah, it's a great
stuff to do.
It's a great city. I love it very much. And
great town. I've been there a handful of times. It's a fun town.
Yeah, it really is. So, Rob, you say drink the Hazy Hopalicious?
Yeah, I drink it. And I
do
drink
too.
It quick. So,
what about you guys?
Tropical Cannon Pineapple IPA. As you can hear me kind of stutter my words. Fantastic. Definitely drink it.
It sounds good.
Yeah, we'll have to try and get that.
Heavy Seas is a pretty big brand around here. They have, like, I was in Virginia Beach this weekend. They had Heavy Seas down there in Virginia. So it's definitely a growing brand. Now, what I drank, the Excellent Adventure IPA from Calvert Brewing Company. It's a little smaller. Like, I can't even look at the can. I mean, just get the paper around the can. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a smaller company, but it goes down super smooth.
Hey, really. Small doesn't mean bad.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. So they're growing.
Some of the best beers you drink are from the smallest breweries. Just little. You walk in a door and they're brewing in front of you. And
Right.
So I mean, I love beer. I wish I knew more about it, other than how it makes me feel on the inside and how it tastes going down. But
I mean, that's the best way to end it, right there.
Yeah, I think so. Garret and Aaron, we really appreciate you coming on the show, and we look forward to the continued success of Familiar Foes podcast.
Yeah, it was a good talking.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Pew pew audio. Goodbye, everyone.